Nursing has to do in either case is to put the patient in the best condition for nature to act upon him. These are just few of the wise words that Florence Nightingale said, the nursing theorist that we will be discussing today.
Florence Nightingale was born in Florence, Italy on May 12 in the year 1820 to parents Frances Nightingale and William Shore Nightingale. She was later known by the names Lady with the Lamp and Angel of the Crimea for her ongoing care during the night while tending to the ill from the war. She would walk the unit with the lamp to check on her patients in the night and work tirelessly to ensure that they would recover, earning her those nicknames. Nightingale established the first scientifically based nursing school in 1860 named the Nightingale School of Nursing, which was built at the St. Thomas's Hospital in London. During her studies, she focused on basic nursing skills, the importance of patient observations, and the value of good hospital organization, which later on remained her main nursing practice. Nightingale believed that having a clean environment would improve health and recovery. While working in a hospital in London, her main mission was to improve hygiene practices, and she lowered that hospital's overall mortality rate, proving her theory about a clean environment to be right. The Crimean War started in 1853. Nightingale received a letter a year later asking her to gather a small group of nurses to come to Crimea and tend to the sick soldiers. She managed a team of 34 nurses and arrived in Crimea a few days later. During her time in Crimea, she established an invalid's kitchen, which prepared food for patients with special dietary needs, as well as a laundry unit to ensure clothing and linens were always clean. Nightingale instituted classrooms and a library to further patient education and means of entertainment for the patients. After her credible work in Crimea, Nightingale was awarded an engraved brooch from the Queen, which later came to be known as the Nightingale Jewel, and $250,000 from the British government. She used that money to establish the nursing school and further nursing education for young women. Nightingale contracted Crimean fever and never fully recovered. While she was on her bed rest indefinitely, she worked on to help her patients and published Notes on Hospitals in 1859 and several other works. Florence Nightingale died on August 13 in 1910 after falling ill once more and developed an array of troubling symptoms. Nightingale's legacy is passed on even in today's teachings. The Florence Nightingale Museum is now located at the original Nightingale Training School for Nurses and contains over 2,000 artifacts honoring her work and her dedication to nursing.
Nightingale created the first set of principles for nursing practice that conceptualized the differences in the role of nursing from that of medicine. She acted in a practice-based theory which reflected the issues that were shaping the role and context of nursing during her specific time frame. Within this practice-based theory, she created the environmental theory, which constitutes that a healthy environment is essential to healing. The ideals of this concept consist of ventilation and warming, light and noise, cleanliness of the area, health of the house and nurses in that house, hope and advice, proper bed and bedding, personal cleanliness, external conditions, nutritious food, and observation. This theory assesses what aspects of the patient's environment could be changed to improve their mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. Some ways Nightingale improved a patient's environment were through ventilation and warming, by opening windows and providing extra blankets, proper bedding by consistently changing their bed sheets, personal cleanliness by bathing them and changing their clothes more frequently, and noise by preventing agitating sounds such as a caregiver who speaks too much. Nightingale believed that if the patient feels cold, presents fever, suffers fainting, feels bad after meals, or presents decubitus ulcers, it is generally not due to illness but to nursing. So Nightingale blames the process of the individual's disease to the negligence of the nursing actions. Nightingale's theory shifts the focus from disease processes towards an environment conducive to healing. Florence Nightingale used the meta-paradigm concept, client and person, as her philosophical assumptions and beliefs regarding the individual in care. Nightingale's environmental theory can be viewed as a systems model that focuses on the client in the center, surrounded by aspects of the environment all in balance. In this respect, the whole point of her theory is centered on supporting body, mind, and spirit of the patient. She set the standard for nursing to be focused on the individual's care instead of just diagnosing and curing. Through evidence-based practice, Nightingale drastically improved the physical health of the British forces by implementing better food, water, and sanitization of the areas. During this process, she also explained how an improved environment affects the patient's mind and spirit by noting what environmental factors made people calm, anxious, and irritable, and implemented the factors that cause a positive reaction on another patient. This evidence further proves the client and person concept that each patient has different needs and desires, and the nurse must create an environment that is favorable to them. Nightingale believed that becoming a nurse wasn't a job title or a career, but a calling to help the patient's mental and physical health.
Nursing theories have an essential role in the practice of nursing, which gives a guideline of how to give nursing care. Florence Nightingale is the first nursing theorist. She developed her theory based on her observations in the Crimean War. Potter says Nightingale demonstrated how to think about patients and their environment by shifting the focus from disease process toward an environment conducive to healing. She is giving more importance to the environment than disease process. Changes in the environment of the patient affected their health. According to Sayani, Nightingale's environmental theory reflects a great consideration in providing holistic approach to the patients by including four major meta-paradigms, which consist of individual, environment, health, and nursing. Nurses should support the environment to help the patient in healing. Florence Nightingale says the essential role of a nurse is to keep the patient in a healthy and healing takes place environment. By taking care of the patient's environment, the nurses can reach health goals and cure illness. She says good environmental conditions like clean air and water allow for cure the disease naturally. The nursing care should be based on promotion of health. This theory translates into nursing practice through her assessment, interventions, and evaluation. Assessment includes data collection of physiological, psychological, socio-cultural, spiritual, environmental, and lifestyle factors that help make a proper nursing diagnosis. During the Crimean War, Nightingale noticed that the British camp's health status was devastating. Through her assessment, she understood that the camp environment to take care of the wounded soldiers was not suitable for their healing. According to Shetty, as the number of sick and wounded rose, the dirt and callous conditions deteriorated rapidly. She realized how her patients were affected environmentally, spiritually, and psychologically. Interventions are actions to reach the goals. Her interventions was to provide a clean environment, medical equipment, clean water, and fruits. The final step of the nursing process is the evaluation phase. It is the phase to determine the interventions are a success or not and meet the goals. This led to the evaluation phase, which proved to be a success as the mortality rate decreased from 60% to 42% and then to 2.2%.
Florence Nightingale had a lot of observations during the Crimean War, and with this, she sees different conditions necessary to promote health and healing. Her observation led to see the healthcare environment as a place that should be clean, has fresh air, and a presence of light. According to Nightingale, it is important that patients are taken care of in a healing environment, and that it should have the feel of comfort and safety. Florence Nightingale's principle was providing a patient with a healing environment. She values the healing process more than the disease process as in her theory. With this, her type of nursing diagnosis would be a wellness nursing diagnosis, since she is committed to transitioning her patients to a higher form of wellness. Her processes in theory explain that patients should be more focused on getting better rather than focusing on the disease itself, and to her, a patient's environment is a factor towards healing. In a wellness nursing diagnosis, healing does not only pertain to physical health but also spiritual health. For example, let's say that a patient during the Crimean War was healed physically, but still faced challenges with PTSD. In this situation, although the patient has healed physically, they also want to improve their mental well-being. This is where a wellness nursing diagnosis would help. It is about getting better and achieving a higher form of wellness by being healed not only in terms of physical health, but spiritual, emotional, and mental health too. And Florence Nightingale's theories do not only promote health in general, but also healing in all other aspects. During Nightingale's time in the Crimean War, patients presenting with various mental disorders resulting from combat stress were originally diagnosed as cases of shell shock, which we now know to be PTSD. Since the terms and understanding of mental health in the 1950s was very limited, we can describe what her diagnosis would be in modern terms. A complete nursing diagnosis today is composed of a diagnostic label, related factors, definition, risk factors, and support of the diagnostic statement. If a person who survived war shows signs of aggression, anxiety, difficulty concentrating, and etc., then the nursing diagnosis will be a post-trauma syndrome. Nightingale's diagnostic label would be readiness for enhanced mental well-being. The related factors would be sudden destruction of one's community, being held prisoner of war, serious injury to self, serious threat to self, and torture. The definition of post-trauma syndrome is sustained maladaptive response to a traumatic, overwhelming event. The risk factors are perception of event, occupation, survivor's role, and unsupportive environment. She would support her diagnostic label by asking the patient questions such as, did you have motivation to do your hobbies today? How well are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? Did you have any anxiety attacks? And does remembering the event make you feel uneasy? This will create an evaluation on how the patient stands on the diagnosis. Of course, it is also important to state observations that will depend on the nurse creating the diagnosis. Furthermore, this is where a wellness nursing diagnosis would help. If the patient is diagnosed with post-trauma syndrome, his or her nursing care should be focused not only on physical healing, but also mental, spiritual, and emotional too. In Florence Nightingale's theory, it says that the environment has an impact on the patient, so making the feel of the patient's room light and comfortable can improve his mood. Also, giving the patient a fresh environment will make him see that he is not in a devastating place anymore. In this diagnosis, the patient will be helped to achieve wellness, and that means being healed in all other aspects.
Nurses work tirelessly to ensure that a patient is healthy and safe. Nursing is a calling, and Florence Nightingale followed it and became one of the most respected nurses to date. Her dedication and knowledge saved many lives and continues to be a learning point for future nurses.